Eric, Jamie and Tom, amateur geologists with a thirst for adventure, heard about the abandoned mine in the Black Hollow Forest. Their names were as different as their personalities, yet they shared a common bond, a relentless curiosity for the mysteries of the earth. Eric, the fearless leader, was a risk-taker with an insatiable hunger for adventure. Jamie, the only woman in the group, was the brains of the operation. Her sharp intellect and extensive knowledge of minerals made her indispensable. Tom, the quiet one, was the glue that held them together, his steady presence a comforting reassurance amidst their daring exploits. Their shared love for geology had led them to many a hidden corner of the world, unearthing treasures that lay beneath the surface. Their latest fascination was an abandoned mine, nestled deep within the Black Hollow Forest. The mine, they'd heard, was a treasure trove of rare minerals, a geologist's dream. Yet it was shrouded in mystery and tales of the supernatural. The locals spoke in hushed whispers about the mine, their eyes wide with fear. They spoke of an ancient curse, of shadowy figures and eerie chants that echoed through the night. They warned the trio against venturing into the forest, their voices trembling with fear. But Eric, Jamie and Tom were not ones to be deterred by tales of the unknown. The locals warned them not to go, but their curiosity was too strong. They didn't listen. The forest was dense, filled with the smell of damp earth and pine, but as they ventured deeper, the mood shifted. Their surroundings seemed to transform before their very eyes. The once vibrant green foliage turned a dark, almost black hue under the shadowy canopy. The temperature seemed to plummet, as if they'd crossed some unseen boundary into a world where the sun's warmth was forbidden. The trees, once their shelter and guide, now seemed to close in around them, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal hands. Each rustling leaf, each crackling twig underfoot echoed ominously in the eerie silence. The birdsong that had been their soundtrack was replaced by an unsettling stillness, broken only by the distant hoot of an owl, a harbinger of the unknown. The air, once fresh and invigorating, was now heavy and stagnant. An unpleasant, cloying scent filled their nostrils, a scent that spoke of decay and something far more sinister. The forest floor, once carpeted with fallen leaves and moss, was now littered with rotting vegetation and the scattered remnants of small, unfortunate creatures. Their hearts pounded in their chests, each beat echoing their growing fear and unease. A sense of dread settled in the pit of their stomachs, a primal instinct warning them of danger lurking in the shadows. Their eyes darted about, straining to penetrate the gloom, their minds conjuring up images of unseen predators. Eric, Jamie and Tom moved closer together, their jovial banter replaced by tense whispers. Their laughter and excitement were long forgotten, replaced by a gnawing fear that twisted their insides. Their steps became hesitant, each footfall a decision weighed against the instinct to run, to escape the claustrophobic grip of the forest. Every rustle of the undergrowth, every shifting shadow seemed to whisper a warning. Their breath hitched in their throats, their bodies tensed for flight, yet they trudged on, driven by curiosity or perhaps the foolhardiness of youth. The scent of decay filled their nostrils, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The forest seemed to breathe with them, a living, malevolent entity, watching their every move with unseen eyes. As they neared the mine, they saw it, a path lined with bones, leading into the darkness. The words hung in the air, a chilling testament to the gruesome sight that greeted Eric, Jamie, and the missing Tom. They stood, frozen, their hearts pounding in their chests as they took in the macabre sight. The path, a grotesque mosaic of bleached bones, seemed to stretch on endlessly into the black maw of the mine. The air was heavy with an oppressive sense of dread, and the scent of blood and decay was nearly overpowering. It was as if they had stumbled upon a forgotten world, a relic of a time when gruesome rituals and blood sacrifices were the norm. And then they heard it, a low, guttural chant echoing from the depths of the mine. The sound was primal, raw, and it filled them with a terror they had never known. It was as if the very earth was crying out in pain, the voices of the damned rising from the abyss. The chanting grew louder, a relentless drumbeat in their ears. Their eyes, wide with fear, darted around the shadowy forest. And then they saw them, figures moving in the darkness, their forms barely discernible. but there was no mistaking what they wore on their faces. Masks made of bone, their hollow eyes staring back at the terrified trio. The figures moved closer, their chants growing louder, more fervent. The air was filled with the sound of weapons clashing, a symphony of terror that echoed through the forest. Eric, Jamie, and Tom could see the glint of moonlight on the blades, their minds filled with horrifying images of what those weapons could do. And then, the figures were upon them. They could see the intricate carvings on the bone masks, the glimmer of madness in the shadowy figures' eyes. The chants were deafening now, a cacophony of sound that seemed to shake the very ground beneath them. They ran, terror gripping them as the figures closed in. The chanting grew louder, more frantic. The forest echoed with their screams, the bone-chilling tale of the Path of Bones reaching its terrifying climax. By the time they made it out of the forest, only Eric and Jamie were left. Tom was never seen again. The night had swallowed him whole, leaving nothing but the echoes of his terrified screams. Eric and Jamie, their hearts pounding like tribal drums in their chests, didn't dare to look back. The shadows seemed to chase them, the bone-chilling chants of the tribe people lingering in the cold air. Their escape was a blur, a terrifying dance with death. The once inviting forest had transformed into a monstrous labyrinth. Fear propelled them forward, their breaths ragged, their bodies aching with exhaustion. Every rustle, every whisper of the wind was a ghostly reminder of their lost friend and the horrifying figures that lurked in the shadows. Days turned into weeks, and the terrifying memory of the black hollow forest clung to them like a leech, sucking the color out of their lives. They could still smell the damp earth, the decay, the blood. They could still hear the faint sound of chanting, a haunting lullaby that echoed in their nightmares. Eric and Jamie were forever marked by their encounter with the unknown. They became living warnings of the terror that awaited those who dared to ignore the whispered cautions of locals and venture into the uncharted territories. The world was filled with mysteries, some beautiful, some terrifying. Beware, stay vigilant, because there are terrifying ancient tribe peoples in the woods that few have ever seen and lived to talk about. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. We got a treasure trove of tales that'll send shivers down your spine and make your heart race. Stories that'll make you question every creak and shadow in your own home. So come, be a part of our community of thrill seekers and mystery lovers. We're waiting to welcome you into the fold. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles if you dare.